Article 243ZL of the Indian Constitution relates to the supersession and suspension of the board of a cooperative society. Here's a breakdown of its provisions. 1. Supersession or suspension of the board. General rule: a cooperative society's board cannot be superseded, dissolved, or suspended for a period longer than 6 months. Exceptions: the board can be superseded or suspended under the following circumstances. Persistent default: the board repeatedly fails to fulfill its obligations. Negligence: there is negligence in performing its duties. Act prejudicial to interests: the board acts in a way that harms the cooperative society or its members. Stalemate: there is a deadlock in the board's constitution or its functioning. Failure to conduct elections: if the authority or body responsible for conducting elections, as per Article 243 ZK, fails to hold elections in accordance with the state law. Additional provisions. Government involvement: a cooperative society's board cannot be superseded or suspended if there is no government shareholding, loan, financial assistance, or guarantee involved. Banking societies: in case the cooperative society is involved in banking. The Banking Regulation Act, 1949 will also apply. For non-multi-state cooperative societies engaged in banking, the maximum period for supersession or suspension is extended to 1 year, instead of 6 months. 2. Conducting elections after supersession. When the board is superseded, an administrator is appointed to manage the society. This administrator must ensure elections are conducted within the specified time, 6 months or 1 year, and then hand over the management to the newly elected board. 3. State legislature's power. The state legislature may pass laws that provide the conditions of service for the administrator who takes charge during the supersession period. This article seeks to regulate the management of cooperative societies, ensure that boards are not arbitrarily suspended or superseded, and safeguard the interests of the members and the government, especially in cases involving financial aid or shareholding. The Constitution of India. Part 9b. The Cooperative Societies. Article 243 ZL. Supersession and suspension of board and interim management. 1. Notwithstanding anything contained in any law for the time being in force, no board shall be superseded or kept under suspension for a period exceeding 6 months. Provided that the board may be superseded or kept under suspension in a case A. of its persistent default, or B. of negligence in the performance of its duties, or C. the board has committed any act prejudicial to the interests of the cooperative society or its members, or D. there is stalemate in the constitution or functions of the board, or E. the authority or body as provided by the legislature of a state, by law, under Clause 2 of Article 243 ZK, has failed to conduct elections in accordance with the provisions of the State Act. Provided further that the board of any such cooperative society shall not be superseded or kept under suspension where there is no government shareholding or loan or financial assistance or any guarantee by the government. Provided also that in case of a cooperative society carrying on the business of banking, the provisions of the Banking Regulation Act, 1949 shall also apply. Provided also that in case of a cooperative society, other than a multi-state cooperative society, carrying on the business of banking, the provisions of this clause shall have the effect as if for the words 6 months, the words 1 year had been substituted. 2. In case of supersession of a board, the administrator appointed to manage the affairs of such cooperative society shall arrange for conduct of elections within the period specified in Clause 1 and hand over the management to the elected board. 3. The legislature of a state may, by law, Make provisions for the conditions of service of the administrator.